Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the final project for the course. We're finished all the units, or at least you should be finished all the units, and now your focus should be on putting together your writer's portfolio, which is going to be the last thing that you do. There's no exam in the course. As I've said before, this is it. So 30% of your grade is riding on what you do in the next 3 weeks. So what I want to do in this video is I want to give you a sense of what you're going to have to do to score level 4, because I know that's what most people are looking to do, is to like maintain the level 4 that they have, to break from that 3+ into that level 4 range, or to like at least raise their grade into the next level. In order to do that, you're going to want to score high on this project, and I wanted to give you the tools and knowledge you're going to need to do that. So the first thing that I want you to understand about the portfolio is I've actually shortened the assignment that was already here. So originally the writer's portfolio project called for more pieces of work, and it required longer reflections. So there was actually 2 stages of reflection that were going on. It required, I think, a discussion that went along with it, along with the workshopping. So I actually cut things away to get it down to what I thought was actually really, critical and necessary. So when it comes to putting together a portfolio, obviously you want your best examples of work, and you want to package those in a way that it looks good and it reflects well upon you. So mostly what you're going to be working on for this writer's portfolio is the first part of that. The reason why I mentioned the packaging piece is because I've already gotten a lot of questions about, do I bold some of the text in my work? Do I highlight the things that I've added since last time? The answer to all of that is no. The piece that you produce should look like you can use bolded text and you can use italics and things if you would be using those for the style of writing you're using. But whatever you hand in should be an exemplary piece of work. So I want you to imagine that you've gotten past the stage where you've applied to a publisher and they're interested in you, and they've asked to see a portfolio of your writing. Or maybe you've decided that you want to take a creative writing course at university, because those do exist. And to get into the course, quite often they'll ask you for a portfolio showing what you're capable of. So you want to have your best pieces of work, and you want those pieces to look the way they should look artistic. So if it's a poem and you've got random bold text in it sort of showing me where you've added metaphors and personification and things, that would look weird, right? So I don't want you to do that. Instead, you can explain the improvements you're going to make in the reflective paragraphs. All right, so but let me get back to the first part. So you want to choose pieces of work that reflect well upon you. Here's an interesting thing. You don't necessarily have to choose your best pieces. You just have to choose pieces that you can definitely improve. For the 4 things that you're going to be submitting, you want to have examples that show your skill as a writer, and you want to be able to show that you can take a piece of writing and you can make it even better. So I had a student who emailed me and said, well, I've got this piece of writing and I honestly don't want to add anything to it, and I don't see very much that I can change. So my advice to that student was, I would suggest choosing something else. This is definitely, and I know the piece of writing that they're talking about is a great piece of writing, scored a level 4+ already. So that's definitely something that you would put in your writer's portfolio if you're actually actively putting one together. If you want to become a writer, you would want to have that in your portfolio. But for this project, you want to find things that you're able to improve. So, in a kind of an ironic way, you might want to choose something that's not quite your best piece of writing so that you can polish it and make it really good, well, exceptional. All right? So, anyways, that is what your purpose is. You're going to be revising 4 pieces and creating 1 new piece. To me, creating a piece is twice the work of revising a piece, pretty much. So that's why the new piece is worth twice as much as the other individual pieces. So when you take a look at the rubric, I want you to know how you're being graded. When you take a look at the rubric that I've created for you, which is kind of like the wording is kind of generic and vague, but I wanted to make it as simple as possible for you to see like how you're being graded. I'm going to score you based on a level, and that level will correspond to a number, and those numbers like add up to 30. The assignment is worth 30%, so you can kind of like even predict like how you're going to score based on like the levels that you're scoring at. So to score 30 out of 30, if you hit level 4 on everything, then you get 30 out of 30. Whenever you score a level 3 on something, you get 4 out of 5, which is actually 80%. It's technically a level 4 mark, but that works well in your favor. It's sort of like, I took what to me would be like the highest level 3. To me, I always thought that like a level 3 plus should be pegged at 80 anyways. But that's just my thoughts. So you kind of get a bonus there. The other side of it though is a level 2 is pegged at 3 out of 5. All right. But I don't expect that you're going to be scoring level 2s. There's no reason why you should be scoring level 2s. All right. So let me start with level 3. In order to score level 3 on something, it's very simple. You have to do what I ask you to do and do it well. It's very simple. And 4U students should know what that means. So if I ask you to write, a 15 or more line poem, so you've got a poem you already did. Let's say you want to take your free verse poem from the poetry unit and you want to polish that up. So you know how to polish a piece of writing up. You know how to look for like spelling mistakes and things like that to clean those up. You also know how to like arrange work correctly in stanzas and whatnot. You know that you should have a title for it at the top. You should know that it should look nice on the page. It should be improved since last time. So you know how to check the feedback on your last piece and how to make it better this time. And then you also know what a good solid paragraph should look like. So I'm asking you to give me a poem and 2 paragraphs. If you do that, you will score level 3 on the assignment. I'm trying to make it as simple as possible. All right? So that's level 3. If your assignment is missing something, if it's got a deficiency of some sort. So for example, if you don't polish it really well, and I see errors in it, I see spelling mistakes in it. There should be no spelling mistakes in your writing that you have in your portfolio. There should be no errors like that would like make you look bad. So if I see, a bunch of careless spelling mistakes, or if I see that not much has been improved since last time, here's the one that I expect to see a lot. If your paragraphs are short, if you didn't put much effort into those paragraphs, and it'll show up to me with like the amount of, a lack of detail. Those things show me that it's not a 3. If there is something that is less than what I would expect from a 4U student, then you'll get a 2 instead of a 3. All right? If there's a lot more that is poor about it, you'd get like a level 1. But honestly, I really don't think I'm going to get any level 1 work out of anybody. I shouldn't. It's a portfolio. You're polishing up work that you've already done. You get to pick and choose your best pieces. All right? If you do get a level 2, what I'm going to do in the feedback is I'm going to clearly tell you what was deficient. And so I suggest that you submit pieces of work one at a time. Don't just hold on to all of it and then dump it at the last minute, because then you don't get a chance to get feedback along the way. You can if you want to. I strongly advise you not to. So if you get a 2, it's going to be because something was wrong, something was missing, something was deficient. I will point that out in the feedback, and so you take that feedback and you improve. All right? In order to get a level 4, you have to be impressive. And here's what I need you to understand. You're in a group of people who are all very strong writers. I'm expecting like a level 3 piece of writing is going to be a strong piece of writing. So just giving me a strong piece of writing is not going to be enough to get a level 4. You have to impress in some way. So, imagine that I'm not a teacher. Imagine I'm a publishing editor, or I'm a literary agent, or I'm a professor at university. I'm a professor of creative writing, you need to impress me. I'm not an expert when it comes to creative writing. I'm not a published author, but assume that I am. And think, what's going to impress this person? So on the assignment sheet, I've made a list of like some just things that I think would be impressive. So doing a really good piece of work and submitting it early. So like the first people to submit certain piece of writing, that to me is impressive. There's a better chance you'll score level 4 if your work is done early, assuming it's done well, right? Because if something takes you 3 days to do really well, it's more impressive than if it takes 2 weeks to do really well. Having extra length, assuming that like you're doing a piece of writing where you're not trying to be brief, but like if I ask you for like a 40-line poem and you deliver an 80-line poem, that's going to impress me, right? If I ask you for like, a 1,000 word short story and I get a 3,000 word short story, that's impressive, all right? It's got to be good. I mean, you can't just give me a whole lot of stuff and just assume it's going to be a 4. Assuming that it's good, if there's more than other people are doing, it shows that you deserve more marks than they do. All right. There's also like choosing a higher sort of like threshold of skill. I use the analogy of bull riding. Anybody knows anything about bull riding? If the bull that a rider is on goes out and just trots around the ring, you don't get a high mark. If the bull comes out and like spins and does backflips and stuff, you get a really high mark. It's like diving or something. The more difficult dive you choose to try to attempt, the higher your score tends to be. So choosing something that's more difficult and then doing it well, that's also impressive. So I've got some ideas for you to look at on the assignment sheet. Go through and have a look at those things. But just keep in mind that you want to set yourself apart from your peers if you're looking to score 4s. All right? If you do score a 4, I'll be sure to point out to you like why you scored a 4. If you score a 3 instead of a 4, I'll give you advice on how I think that you could score a 4 next time. All right? But I want to try to help you to score as high as you can, to do as well as you can in this course. You've survived. So many of your peers started out and didn't make it. You've survived. You've gotten to the end of this course. Now dig in your heels and come out of this with like the highest mark that you can get, because you want to make this credit mean something. You want this to end up in your mark set that you use to apply to university. So you've got this week and 2 weeks after. You've got 3 weeks all together to put this portfolio together. This week, what I expect that you should be doing is loading, like choosing the pieces that you're going to polish up and loading them onto your writer's workshop forums so that your peers can start helping you to come up with ideas to like improve your work. All right. You don't have to workshop every piece of writing that you've got, but you should definitely workshop. You definitely have to workshop some so that you can show that skill. But it's for your benefit to get other people's feedback on your work. You should be going on and providing feedback to your peers as well. You should be helping them out, because I am looking at that. For the original piece, I'm grading your participation in the writer's workshop as well. That's part of that. So just keep that in mind, that you're earning marks by helping other people, because that shows part of the writing process, right? Is the workshopping and editing your own work, but also providing feedback on other people's work too. So that's what I expect you're doing this week. And then starting next week, I'm hoping to get those assignments in one at a time. You've got time, organize your life so that you can meet your deadlines. The assignment is due on the Friday before exam week. It's the 26th. If you miss that deadline, then you have to apply for an extension, not just through me, but through the principal of e-learning as well. And so that's going to involve like the phone call home and all that stuff. So to avoid all that drama, organize your time, be in touch with me if you need any help, use the writer's workshop, and get some really good piece of writing together that reflect really well on you and show your skills as a writer.